Thursday in Tryon, North Carolina, and it's going to be a beautiful day. It's a little warm, a little humid, but going to still be a wonderful day. And we're looking forward to taking a swim this afternoon in the lake. So we're in Proverbs in chapter 5. We said that Proverbs were instructions in righteousness, and that they are. And the first 9 chapters are written predominantly to young people. And as we looked at the first part of chapter 5, we found out that one of the ways of women or men tempting the opposite sex is flattery. And we've all used it. We've all been recipients of it and know that it can set you off guard. Certainly doesn't hurt if the person of the opposite sex is attractive to look at and has a beautiful form and face. Nevertheless, flattery goes a long way in accomplishing the goals of those that would be evildoers and that might be involved in fornication and adultery. Again, the comment that we hear frequently here is, my son, listen. And that's exactly how verse 7 starts out. Listen, my son. And it's so important for us to listen. You know, we all want to give advice, but none of us want to take advice. I don't know if you've ever noticed that, but we all think we have all of the answers, and we don't want to listen to wise counsel. It's a very, very important part of maturing as an adult. Just a few minutes ago, one of my neighbors brought me a weed eater, and he said, can you help me to figure out how to put new line on this weed eater? And in just a few minutes, we had worked out together the way of changing the line on his weed eater. But most people are too proud to ask for help, too proud to listen to advice. In storing his chainsaw and his weed eater, he took my counsel and my advice to run the gas out, and when it's going to be stored for long periods of time, put gas conditioner in the gas, and ways to try to avoid expensive repairs. But most of us don't want to listen to advice. We don't want to listen to counsel. We think we have all of the answers, and we don't. And there's wisdom in listening to counsel. Even when you think you have the answers, somebody may have some insights into something that you didn't think about. So here we have the advice of the Father to the Son. Listen, and don't depart from my words. Don't deviate from the principles that I've set down before you. And here's one of the ways that he says that you can avoid the flattering lips, whether it's a male or a female, somebody of the opposite sex. Don't get near the door. Now, I remember a number of years ago, there was a fellow that claimed to be the chaplain of Bourbon Street, and his ministry was to go into the places of heavy drinking, the places of pole dancers, and to witness to those that were involved in alcohol and nudity and some of the things that go on in New Orleans. And lo and behold, in a few years, you find that he has fallen to the flattering lips and to the enticement of a pretty face and a nice form, and that he has become involved in an extramarital affair. You see, we got to stay away from the places where we can be tempted. We've got to flee temptation when it comes. Remember Joseph in the Bible, when when his boss's wife lured him into the house and begged him to lie with her. Well, he fled. He got away. Now, he left a piece of his clothing behind, and she used that as a way of lying and testifying against him, saying that he was the one that was making the advances, but in fact that wasn't true. Nevertheless, we need to flee temptation, but even better than fleeing temptation, to stay away from temptation. It's crazy to watch movies that you know are rated R, and when they now list the areas that they're rated R for, if you're a man in particular, you're attracted to the lust of the eyes, and so when you have partially clad or non-clad women in the series, it's very tempting. Same thing on the internet. Ads will pop up, and opportunities will pop up for you to see things that you shouldn't be seeing, and it's better to stay away from those sites. As a matter of fact, there's provisions in a lot of the software programs to block those sites and to block anything that has obviously wrong content. So we want to stay away from And if we do happen to come in contact with those temptations, we need to flee from them. And that's exactly what's said here in chapter 5, verses 7 and 8. Keep away from the door, flee temptation. Remember what happened with Joseph. And then he goes on in verses 9 and 10, and he tells us the consequences of not following the words and not fleeing from temptation and not staying away from the door of those that would entice us. Now, he uses some words that perhaps we can't relate well to, so let me just give you 4 words that will cover the consequences, the potential consequences of a wrong relationship with someone who is trying to get you to be sexually impure. Dishonor. Dishonor always comes, whether it's causing a divorce, whether it's reputation in a community. There's a cost to be paid in dishonor. There's a cost in drudgery. To carry on relationships like that is a drudgery, and it will become a burden instead of something that you might think is a blessing. It creates debt. Therefore, these things cost money. And whether it's directly by paying a prostitute or whether it's in giving gifts to someone that has enticed you into a relationship, or you working and them sitting at home, there's not only dishonor and drudgery, but there's also debt. And then, my friends, we know today one of the greatest deterrents that we should have is disease. For someone that will sleep around is very likely to be carrying sexually transmitted diseases. Some of these are curable with antibiotics, but many of the diseases today are non-curable. They're treatable, and you can minimize the effects of the diseases, but they're not curable. And of course, we know that with AIDS, very often it can be fatal. And the drugs that you have to take to try to slow down the progression of AIDS have tremendous adverse effect on your body. And so we find 4 good words that are covered there in verses 9 and 10, and perhaps a little harder to read the way they're written there. But dishonor, drudgery, debt, and disease. These are good deterrents when you think about the consequences of few fleeting moments of pleasure to keep you away from improper sexual contact, whether it be male or female. Remember, they're going to get you with flattering words, and they're going to get you if you hang around where they are. A man could never enter into most bars without having women sitting at the bar who are looking for someone to come in and buy them drinks and then perhaps to enter into a relationship with them. There are several men who go to bars preying on women who are lonely, hurt from a divorce or hurt from some kind of circumstance, and just looking to prey on these people. Good deterrents: dishonor, drudgery, debt, and disease. That's your thought for the day. God bless you, and listen to the words of Proverbs and bring them to your heart and make them yours.